Hello everybody, my name is Will, and welcome back to Flyout Community Creations, and we're just gonna ignore the potential that Flyout might not be getting updates at the moment, and just carry on anyway, because I still got designs to look at. In fact, we have a lot of designs to look at. Sorry, the camera is. This is the BE-35 Ground Effect Attacker by Open Pendulum. I think there was a stream at one point where I said, like, wouldn't it be cool if we did, like, an entire line of ground effect, like, fighters? I don't think this was inspired by that, but, you know, great minds clearly think alike, and also I do, I guess. We have some instructions here, but I have been told that there's also instructions in the cockpit, so we're just going to go straight to the runway and see if I can learn how to fly this thing from inside. Okay, here we are on the ground, and something is very odd about seeing a fighter like this actually on the ground, especially, I think, because it's a tail dragger rather than a, you know, tricycle. It is slowly rotating on the ground. Is there... Oh, look! Yep, that is definitely one of the manuals of all time. Okay, so L does the lights. We have good, whatever. What are these lights? There's like 3 green lines and a red line? Oh, that's the optical altimeter, which isn't currently active, I don't think. So we want to start the APU. There we go. We turn that on, and then we go to our engine, turn on starter. I mean, oh, these are the missiles. Whoops. Okay, there we go. We go to our engine, we go starter, and we throttle up. And now that we've done that, we go to our APU and bleed air. Okay, there we go. We're moving. We're moving. And in theory, we should be good to just take off. They want 15% trim on takeoff. Is that positive or negative trim? I'm going to assume negative, because it doesn't really make sense for it to be positive. We are yawing quite aggressively. I'm just going to try some keyboard controls here while I have to adjust my trim. There we go. It says that we can start taking off at somewhere, probably... I don't know, probably about here. No, never mind. Oh, that's the optical altimeter. Okay, so there's literally big lights that shine on the ground. That makes sense, to be entirely honest. And so far, so good. If we retract the landing gear. Okay, so those are our lights there. And we want to have that red thing in the middle of those. So we're a little bit high at the moment. Do we just adjust our trim to lose altitude, I assume? And then that should automatically bring us into the right range. It feels really weird being this low, going 500 kilometers an hour. We're definitely too low now. Too low now. And just got to get that light lined up. It's going all over the shop, but I think that looks pretty good. If we use just... So that's our rudder only for turning at the moment. That is a big, slow turn, but it will keep us pretty confidently within the right altitude range. I'm having a good time. Okay, so there is no real roll control. You can see there is a little bit, but mostly you're still turning with the rudder. So I think it's just going to be, you got to predict where you're turning before you get there. Otherwise, you're going to be in trouble. Okay, so we're in a fairly safe little flight regime here. I can just leave it for the most part. I'm assuming over rough terrain we'd immediately explode. So let's try and do any of this talking before we reach those mountains. But we have a nice little 30mm cannon on the side here, which is looking really good. That looks a lot like... oh, I feel like I'm going a little too low here. Yeah, hang on. You do need to pay some attention when you're flying this, I can't lie, and showing off the craft while doing that, not the easiest, but we have a little 30mm. This looks like the 23mm that you saw like on the underside of the MiG-21, for instance, so that's neat. I'm assuming it would basically alternate which barrel is firing in real life, and it's got a pretty rapid fire rate, and obviously you can tell 2 very large, supposedly cruise missiles. Now, I'm assuming if we spawn in a tank, we'd be good to actually attack them. This looks like if you basically gain some altitude, you can fire at 30 kilometers, or if you're just sat there on the ground, 12 kilometers. So we will, I guess, give it a shot. Okay, I've spawned a tank, and it's currently 30k out. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to gain a little bit more distance, and then we'll do a long turnaround. And on the other end of the turnaround, hopefully, we'll have a good, like, 30, 40 kilometers of distance, and we can give a shot at a little attack run. While we're doing this, I think I'll just do a little pan around for you. I think this looks really cool. It kind of has the energy of, like, a combination of some of the more experimental Ekranoplan designs that the Russians came up with, like, you know, beyond the Caspian Sea monster, the even crazier ones that they were working on. But also with a little bit of just, like, mid-Cold War fighter design. Think, like, just after maybe the MiG-21 kind of era, because this glass is a little bit too modern for that era. It's more like probably 60s or 70s rather than 50s, if I had to guess. I don't know. Okay, we are around for our run. Let's just make sure that we are going a nice good old speed, because I'm imagining getting up to the kind of altitude where we can have about 30 kilometers of range, we're going to need a little bit of beans. Okay, now at 38, what we'll do is if we pull up, we should just gain a bit of altitude, and we just got to wait for this AGM to lock, and then hopefully we can get a nice shot on this tank. Okay, there we go. We've got a lock. We're going to wait for about 30 kilometers, probably just under, to account for any... well, we do have a bit of a headwind, so yeah, we'll just go for about there. And hopefully that does the job. We're going to pull back down so that we're making advantage of, you know, being a ground effect attacker. And hopefully that missile will fly true. Okay, we're back in our ground effect, and I think I should be good to just leave this, and we can watch our little AGM fly in, and it shouldn't be long now before it arrives. I do think this is definitely not the normal AGM. This has had some custom modeling. So a nice little bit of attention to detail there. I'm currently wondering if this tank crew is going to appreciate the attention to detail on this missile as much as I will, but I'm going to go with probably not. Now, where was my airfield? Oh, I think I see it, actually. Yep, no, that is definitely the airfield. I think this might be one of the most successful first flights. This is literally my first time ever loading this into the game. I didn't do any practice runs beforehand. This might be the most successful first flight I've ever done. Now, I'm not sure if we have air brakes, so I am a good distance away, and I am already cutting the throttle, and hopefully we don't run into any problems with how fast we're going. I think we should be good. We're at a pretty low speed now. Just so long as the brakes are good, we'll be all right. Okay, here we go. We've got 350 kilometers an hour speed. Shouldn't be a problem. Actually, are there flares on this? Ooh, whoa. Whoa, there's air brakes. They're on Z. Okay, I found the air brakes. Not a usual key, but that'll do. Okay, we're going a little slow. There we go. That's fine. We've made touchdown. I'm sure there were no pants soiled during that touchdown. We're all A-okay. And I've just noticed there's a little rudder on the underside of the nose. That's cute. Oh, there we go. We do have flares. I didn't fire those at any point because, well, I didn't really need to. But, yeah, flares. And there we go. Full stop. Very nice. That is a really, really cool aircraft. Thank you for the submission, but we're moving on to the next thing. Next up is something completely different. This is designed by Kurisu in my Discord, who has made a plane shaped like a clip on a bread bag. Look, I don't know, man. So this has precisely no landing gear. There is no way to take off from the ground either. There's also no way to land it. However, probably tastes quite good. Right, we're going to try starting at a fairly low altitude. We'll see what happens. There you go. This is Rise and Brine. Mega Penny. Oh, I don't know. That is a lot of checks on that label. It's a good source of potassium. Arsenic? Okay, I don't really know why the bread contains arsenic, but you know what? I think that's the least of our problems right now. Where's this logo taken from? Is this a real logo that they've just stolen and said that their bread contains arsenic? What is going on? Baked fresh in Hogsville. Oh, but it's vegan, halal, and Star Baker approved, though, so I'm assuming that arsenic clearly doesn't have that much of an effect, and nor does the bread on the aerodynamics, apparently. I mean, doing a top speed test feels somewhat redundant, but there's also, you know, no weapons, there's no flares, and we can't land. So this is a flying loaf of bread. The only thing that it can do is fly around. And as you can see, I mean, it flies shockingly well for a loaf of bread. You can also, like, carpet bomb people with bread if I press... It was... Oh, no, it's not that one. Hang on. Oh, it's right control. Of course, that makes more sense. There we go. We can just drop some bread on the denizens of the world, and I'm sure they'll enjoy their glutinous bomb. That is... Oh, okay. And it's clipped through the world. Now we're just flying a piece of plastic with a date on it. 28th of January, 2024. That's horrendously out of date. Oh my lord. That's not even close to being in date. Burbank. Isn't Burbank in Australia? Is this an Australian bread bag clip? Do they fly in Australia? I don't know. Is Burbank Australia? It's in California. Maybe it's also in Australia. Maybe it's in multiple places. You can't rule it out with American town names. I don't know. California. We'll go with that one. But then they don't use this date format. They do month, day, year rather than day, month. Maybe I'm reading into this a little bit too much. This is a bread bag clip. We dropped some bread. It clipped through the world. I think that's as much sense as you're going to get out of this game today. Oh, look, a Jimmy was in there. Hi, Jimmy. And you know what? Surprisingly close to a landing, given you can't land this thing. Thanks for that submission, I guess. We'll move on. Okay, last video, we featured another Dogeman creation, and he's back. Another airliner this time, except instead of being jet-powered and like a wide-body but regional jet, we've got just a propeller-powered passenger aircraft, which gives me the vibes of, like, the Lockheed Constellation, almost. Obviously, there's a little German flag back there, and I can kind of feel it. It definitely feels slightly post-war. These engines feel, you know, 1946, kind of early 50s maybe, not World War II. So I'm thinking, yeah, Constellation was probably heavily inspiring this thing. Now, this has a fully modeled interior, which I think we will probably be best to show here in the hangar rather than in the game. So we've got 3 seats at the back, probably for the crew. A nice lavatory, of course. A little galley. That's just, oh, yeah, where the food gets made. That makes sense. We've got a sideways-facing seat so you can look out while you're flying. That's interesting. I imagine those aren't much fun when you're taking off or landing. And a table seat. Ooh. And then it's double seats the whole way down. Very nice. Main cabin ahead, I'm assuming, is further back. These are just more bogs. And there we go. Just one door. Is there only one door on this entire aircraft? There are no other emergency exits. I mean, you've got this one at the back as well. It's not the most, what's the word, capacious of airliners? I don't know. I feel like emergency exit procedures on this one are fairly simple. Normally you've got your cabin stewardesses or stewards just doing like little hand gestures for the 4 exit doors. And this one, they'll just, you know, point. There's only 2 doors. Good luck. Just don't crash. It's fine. Okie dokie. Well, that's the interior there. We'll show the cockpit interior when we're actually flying. Let's spawn it in. Okay, here we are on the runway, and here is the interior. Now, supposedly, a lot of the buttons for the controls that we've not shown off yet are actually animated in the cockpit. So if we open up our flaps, because that's what we need to do for takeoff, we're going to go and open the main doors with semicolon. There you go, those are our 2 doors. I don't think the doors animate. Okay, there's no door animation for the buttons. We also have cargo doors on quote, which may destroy the aircraft, but no, we're good. Last time it was a little bit glitchy, but today we're good. And that's just a little sliding hatch on the bottom. We have cowl flaps on comma, which are obviously these intake exhausts here. So those are going to give us better engine performance when we're going high speed when we close them. Exterior lights, which makes sense. And other than that, I think everything else is fairly standard controls. Okay, so all we got to do is go, I think. 257 kilometers an hour should be our takeoff speed, so I just got to keep that number in mind. And then I've been told to pull back gently. Now, as you know, I don't tend to do anything gentle on this channel, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, pretty short takeoff run, to be entirely honest, and it's up in the air, no problem. We barely used a third of the runway there. Very nice. And we've got animated landing gear doors. Ooh, are these custom landing gears? I don't think they are. I think it's just the doors. And oh, very nice. Okay, and now we've been recommended to retract the cowl flaps, which hopefully make us go a little bit speedier. And there you go, we are in flight. And that is, yep, pretty easy, pretty self-explanatory. Like 3 hours of fuel, so we can basically go anywhere. Unlikely we're going to use all 3 hours of that fuel today. I guess the next question is, we've seen that it can fly, and we've seen that it can take off. What kind of maneuvers can you pull in this thing? Honestly, the roll rate is surprisingly good. Whoa. I didn't expect it to turn like that. I mean, that's a pretty good turn time, actually, for a passenger aircraft, pulling about 3 Gs. Probably not the most comfortable for the people inside, but honestly, you know, maybe they're just paying for the thrills rather than for the comfort. But yeah, we've got an estimated cruise altitude of 7,900 meters with a cruise speed of 724 kilometers an hour. Oh, that's 26,000 feet and 450 miles an hour. So that's honestly pretty good for a passenger prop airliner. You know, that's nothing too shabby. But realistically, I don't think it's too interesting for me to just fly a passenger airliner at altitude, so we're going to bring her in for a landing and see how gentle she is. Can I use the passenger doors as air brakes? Yeah, perfect. That'll be perfectly comfortable for the passengers inside, I'm sure. Okay, the only instruction I have is to not drop below 190 kilometers an hour on landing, as it will, quote, fall like a rock. So hopefully we can pull that off without breaking my literal only instruction, but you know me by this point, there's no guarantees. Okay, landing gear is extended. We are a little bit low, quite a lot bit low actually, but that's fine. Give her some beans and it's fine. There's nothing in the way of the runway. There's no need for us to, you know, approach properly, I'm sure. This should honestly be a pretty decent speed to land at. We're fair amount above the stall speed, but I feel pretty confident that it's not going to fall apart when we touch down. And there we go. Very good. Nice, simple, easy, no problems, and some incredibly aggressive brakes. Right, get out now. They're probably desperate to get out after that flight, but there you go. That's that is the DFB LL50. I am a huge fan of prop airliners, so I like getting one submitted. Thank you for this, and moving on to the penultimate design. Next up, designed by Lambo Guy 10, we actually have a replica of one of my favorite jets. This is the F9F8 Cougar. So this is a naval fighter from the early 50s that the Americans designed. Might even be late 40s, but I'm pretty sure it's 50s. And this is just a very, very standard kind of early Cold War. We were just learning to do swept wing kind of jet. It didn't see a huge amount of glory in the Korean War, I believe this served in, but it was built in large numbers, and I just think it's neat. And for the occasion, I have installed a little mod, which is the John W. Station, which is a fictional aircraft carrier, so that we can see if we can take this off from an aircraft carrier. Carrier fighter. This mod was made by Invalid Crow in the official Discord server for Flyout, by the way. So you can find that in their mods and objects channel. It's fairly easy to find. It's quite high up in the list. We're going to give it a go. I can't lie, I did try this one just to make sure the mod was working, and it didn't go well. So I don't have high hopes. And here we are on the deck of the carrier. I accidentally engaged something. I mean, I've activated the air brakes, and I think that's pushed me up onto my tail. That's fine. If we just give it a bit of beans, that should hopefully fix itself. Yeah, there we go. We're fine. Oh, no. Why are we tilting? I didn't tilt before. Okay, sure. There we go. Now we're all good. Right, we've got a couple controls that we can do. We can slide our canopy with /, which is, I mean, looking pretty good. I like that. And we can also fold our wings with square bracket, which obviously, even though it's far more practical to do it on the carrier in a place where, you want to actually save space, we're going to do this once we get in the air just to see what happens. Anyway, let's put those back out, and I really like the attention to detail here with the interior bits of the wing actually being in that red that they used in real life. That's a little fine detail that didn't need to be added, and yet was. And obviously the interior is done. It's a little blurry, but that might just be my game. I can't rule that out. Okay, we're going to give ourselves the longest takeoff run possible here, because we don't actually have steam catapults in this game. So we're going to go for... I need to turn a little bit more, but I don't want to... Okay, that'll do. I want to be as close to the back as I can while... still being here. If we activate the parking brake, that might be for the best. Don't have huge amounts of faith. We have a lot of fuel on board. We are very, very heavy, especially with all 4 of these missiles, but we're going to give it all of the throttle and cut the parking brake now that we're at full, and we'll open the flaps at the very last second so we get the most acceleration possible. And I'm thinking we may just need to go all the way on the flaps, and all the way to flaps 4. Come on! Come on! No. Yep, not even close. What? What? Right? Okay. Sure. That's not exactly how I thought that was going to go, but why not? We're gonna definitely need to take off from land. There is just nowhere near enough space on that carrier without a steam catapult. I have another goofy plan. We're going to try and spawn in with a little bit of velocity and see if that works. This is a terrible idea. This is not going to go well. Ooh, whoa, God. Okay. Okay, we are up in the air. It's a little bit of cheating, but I think it'll be fun to actually try and bring this back in for a landing on the carrier. So that's why I've done this. Anyway, we're up in the air, and we're, controlling pretty nicely. It's obviously not going to be a supersonic jet. It wasn't in real life, so we're not going to break the sound barrier at any point, but it is just a good-looking plane. Hopefully you agree. I like it. So in the underside of the nose here, we actually get a pretty nice armament. So this thing gets 4 20mm, I think they were AN-M2 cannons or whatever, or that's just War Thunder coding me. Maybe that's just not at all what they used. I don't know. And then we have 4 of our little AIM-9M substitutes going on, but I don't think these are real weapons in the game. Yeah, no, so these aren't actual missiles, so we can't shoot down any target drones with those, and also, for some reason, we can't release the missiles. I was hoping to save some weight, but I guess those aren't connected to the hard points. Those are connected directly to the wings. That's a shame, but oh well. It's been a little while since we tried for a gun kill with anything in Flyout, so is that just gonna do the thing where it crashes into the ocean? Yeah, that's definitely underwater. Okay, I guess we won't be shooting down a target drone just today. Maybe once we're back over land. They don't seem to like the water, those things. The weathering and the detail on this camouflage is also really, really good. That's one of the things that really surprises me about a lot of designs that you guys send in, is just like how much time goes into these camouflages. It's one of the parts of the games that I really, really struggle with. I just cannot do camouflages in this game, but clearly it's possible, because there's a lot of people making very beautiful things. You can see we're building up some pretty serious speed, actually, even though we are still subsonic. It's definitely no slouch, and it rolls nicely and pulls pretty well. We're pulling about 8 Gs at the perfect speeds for turning. The rudder, also not bad. Yep. I mean, to be fair, it's a fighter, so you'd kind of expect this stuff. But I guess we'll try and shoot down a target drone over land, and we'll see what happens when we fold the wings in the air over land. But for now, I guess all we can really do is try and land on this carrier. So let's give that a shot. Some beefy air brakes under the nose, as you saw earlier while I was on the ground, but they don't seem to slow us down as much as I was expecting, so we're probably going to need a good little run up to the carrier here so that we're not going too quick when we arrive. Okay, this is proving quite difficult to actually slow down. I had so much idle throttle that the plane was just not having any of it, and now... I can't get it started again. That's not good. Okay. Right. We're doing this again. Okay, here we go. We're going to try, and I don't think mouse aim is particularly liking this, so I'm probably going to have to keyboard aim it, but try again. We're going to need to be a little slower. I think 4 flaps is too aggressive for this. We'll try 3. We're obviously going to need quite a lot of flappage in order to have the lift. It is seriously unstable, though, at this kind of a speed. And, yeah, I mean, there's no... there's no cables on this carrier, so they're also not there to catch us. And, yep, back in the drink. I'm not good enough to do this. Maybe it's not possible without the cables. I don't know, but I'm finding it quite hard to fly at low speeds. We're just going to try it on land. Okay, here we are, doing a proper takeoff from land, where we're not having to spawn with a bunch of artificially added speed. So let's spawn in. Let's go for an early spawn of a target drone, and we're going to do some kind of scramble procedure, I guess. I am just doing a terrible job because I was focusing on pressing the button rather than taking off my aircraft, but that's okay. We're going to go for rotation about now, I would estimate. There we go, not too bad. And we're going to need a little bit of speed before we can catch that thing. Okay, we're now at high enough speed that we are significantly catching up with the target drone. You can see how long this has taken. It's taken quite a while to get here, but that's okay. We don't have missiles, so we are just relying on the guns here. I also don't think we have any flares on this thing, so if anything else was firing back, we might have a difficult time. Okay, here we go. We are getting within gun range shortly. I can just about see the thing. If we just throw a few shots down range, why not? I mean, very lucky if any of those hit, but worth a try. Okay, come on. If we try our best to lead... I think I hit him there, actually. You know what? Come on. Oh, my gosh. I'm hitting him quite a lot. I mean, I hit him. That's for Sure. And target drone successfully eliminated, I think. I really used to think those died in a single hit, but that one didn't seem to want to go down at all, so, we seem surprisingly okay, given that we only have one wing at the moment. I can't lie. I mean, you know, there's been better flying aircraft, but this is, you know, it's not too bad. I can maneuver this. We can still gain altitude, still gain speed. You could take this home. All good. No worries. Okay, well, after that great success in shooting down that target drone, we'll just have a last look at what happens when we fold the wings mid-air, and then I think we'll call it a day for this one, because we've lingered on this for quite a while now. Alright, hopefully we have enough altitude and speed here in order to put the wings back out should things go horribly wrong, which they probably will, before we hit the ground. So, we're going to hit the key, and I mean, it's even, so we haven't lost control, and surprisingly okay, actually. We are still gaining altitude somehow. I guess just the lift from just the fuselage and the wing roots? Yeah, I mean, maybe this is a better flight regime for this plane. That's pretty good. Okay, but in all seriousness, very nice plane. Thank you for your submission, but we're going to move on to the final design for today, which is the jovially named Project 10 Folderoonie, which I don't think it's going to be so jovial. This is a nuclear delivery platform, so it's not the most jovial of vehicles, really. So I need to spawn this in the air. It doesn't have any way of launching from the ground. So we're going to go and do what they say, which is set the altitude to like 1,000 and the velocity to 1,000. And we'll go from there. This is not the Project 10 Folderoonie. This is a cougar with no skin. What? I think I might need to restart my game, lads. Okay, no matter what I do, every single time I load this in, it just spawns this. So, unfortunately, sorry about this, but this was designed by Depsic FR. Apparently it can drop nukes and there's a surprise on M. Not a clue why we can't fly this. Well, on that terrible disappointment, we're going to call it here. Unfortunately, I just cannot get this thing to load in, no matter what I do. I've deleted the F9F from the game files, and it still somehow loads as the F9F, even after a restart. Genuinely no clue. But if you enjoyed this one, please leave a like, comment, and/or subscribe. And if you want to submit anything for a future video on this, then you can join my Discord, which is in the description below. I nearly forgot what the word for description was there, and post it in the Submit Your Flyout Creations Here channel with a screenshot of your craft and a zipped version of the craft file. But for now, that's all. Thank you, and bye-bye.
And a huge thank you to YouTube super supporters Shtug3, Edwin, Cody Fox, Yoki, Marlon Gweck, Peter Holmes, Peter Seifert, Camjam135, and Terra, and a huge thank you to all the regular tier supporters as well.